Welcome to a Fit Health segment. My name is Gabriel, and we have a special guest today. This is Barbara O'Neill. So we're going to be having a conversation with her about her background, different health topics, and maybe some challenges and things that she's facing right now. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the interview. So Barbara, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and where you're from?
Okay, I'll give a little rundown. I'm a fifth generation Scottish descent from both sides of the family, and grew up in your average Aussie home having sausages or chops, mashed potato, frozen peas and beans every night. But when I became about 17, I had a boyfriend who had a friend who was a vegetarian. I'd never heard of such a thing. I didn't even know there was any such thing as brown bread. I thought everything was white. I thought everyone in the world ate the way we did. And that was basically the start of me getting interested in vegetarian, and then having babies quite a few years later. I didn't want to treat them with drugs. I wanted to treat them naturally. And we lived in a rainforest, and I was getting quite a repertoire of how to treat the children. We're a long way from town. Mm-hmm. If ever I was very concerned, we would go to the doctor, but I have to tell you, we rarely did. And then other mothers noticed that I didn't go to the doctor, and they would ring me up and ask for me little natural remedies. In fact, they labelled me Earth Mother. They used to say, ring the Earth Mother. And I was very pleased with the results. The children recovered very quickly from aches and pains and cuts and colds and diarrheas, all the little bits and pieces. And then I started to give meetings because I wanted to help other mothers. And I noticed that in a crisis, they just go to the doctor. And I thought, meetings. And I love God very much, and I every day would say, Father, what would you have me do? And he impressed me to start just simple meetings on how to do natural remedies. And I used to wrap up all the children in the meetings because they were used to being wrapped. And that was probably about 1992. I have 6 children, so I had lots of children to wrap up. And then my first husband, he was heavily into drugs, and we had to leave, and I was a single mother for 4 years. And then the manager of the health retreat where my daughter was working asked me to marry him. I'd known him for many years, and about a year after we were married, we started our own health retreat. I did wonder who was going to be the health director, and when he said I was very taken back. But I believe that all God's callings are his enablings. Mm-hmm. And even though it was a little overwhelming for me, because I'm naturally quite shy and like to be in the background, but my husband is not, so he very much encouraged me. And our retreat started small, and our main aim at the retreat was based on what I read in Ellen White's book, Ministry of the Healing, where she said the only hope of better things is the education of people in the right principles. So it was really about education. But we used to put the guests through a couple of days of juices, and then teach them how to make vegetarian food and have steam baths and exercise. And we kept it very simple because I felt I didn't know very much, so it was really just keeping it simple. And then we got bigger and bigger, and my husband said, I need you to be qualified because we need to get products that practitioner only. And so then I did a nutrition course. I did it correspondence. Diligence is my second name. I'd be doing one module while another one was in the mail and the next one's coming. I really put my head down, and I certainly learnt more through that. And eventually Michael and I moved up to Queensland. Well, actually we went from Queensland down to Melbourne, and then we went to New South Wales. Okay. And that's really where we are now at Misty Mountain Health Retreat. And we certainly have a lot of people come. We have a very good name. A lot of people are return guests. We have people saying, I'm here to find out what you did to my friend. I've never seen them look so good. And then a man came and he said, well, I'm here because I met a man in town that said he used to have cancer. He came here and he's cancer-free.
Wow.
So we don't advertise anymore because we have such a good name, word of mouth, and also my lectures on YouTube have gone worldwide, and until the epidemic hit, we used to get a lot of overseas guests. So that really cut our guests down. But we're getting people coming who used to go overseas to retreats, and they've just discovered there's one in their backyard, as we say in Australia.
So define for people who don't know what a health retreat is. You know, I know there are people out there like, I'm going to go out into the middle of nowhere and they're going to, you know, really do some things to me, but I'm going to come out and feel better. So explain to them what exactly a health retreat is and some of the things that you guys, if somebody wanted to come to Misty Mountain, what could they expect?
What could they expect? We do a couple of days on juices. That's fresh fruit and vegetable juices every couple of days. We have quite a good garden, so a lot of veggies go into the juices from there. And we also have steam bath at the end of the day. Down in Australia, we've got this little steam hut by the creek. It's wood-fired, so they get all hot in the steam bath and then dive into the mountain stream and then back into the steam bath. And they do usually that 3 times. Exercise programs, how to strengthen their body. We encourage them to drink a lot of water. Also, the staff give lectures where so our exercise coordinator speaks on exercise. Our cook does some cooking demonstrations. And so again, education is our thrust. But I say to our guests, you are experiencing the best education, which is experimental education. So you're going through it as you're hearing about it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And so when you go out, your title of your book here, so you're author as well, is Self-Heal by Design. So how did you come up with the title of that book, and how does that incorporate what you guys do at Misty Mountain?
Okay, well, we are Christians. I became a Christian when I was 25, and I was already a bit of a hippie. I don't know if you have hippies here in the US. You know, we're back to nature lifestyle. You know, our favourite word was nature, back to nature. Unfortunately, when I first started, I was smoking too much marijuana. But when I became a Christian, I wanted a clear mind, and I realised that God does not want our mind interfered with. So I wanted a clear mind for that. So becoming a Christian put me on a slightly different slant. And the slant was that, you know, our bodies were created by God. He made them with an inbuilt ability to heal, and they will heal if they're given the right conditions.
That's right.
And it was my second eldest daughter, Jessica, she's my romantic daughter, and she came up with the title Self-Heal by Design, and I immediately loved it. I thought that's a good one, because the body can heal itself. It was designed to heal itself by God, and it will heal itself if you give it the right conditions. So we teach those conditions, but something that is unique, I believe, in our retreat is we teach why. We hear so many health lectures that say, you got to drink water. One man said, what I love about your retreat is you told me why. You told me why I need to drink water.
That's right.
So that's where the title came from. The book is actually about microorganisms, and you'll see a subtitle in the book that's the role of microorganisms in disease. And I also show how it's not the germ that makes it sick, it's the state of the body, because these microorganisms are everywhere. And showing people they don't need to fear the microorganisms. If they give their body the right conditions, then they don't need to fear such a thing.
So that is very interesting. And I see also, so I got a question here, and I know you told me that you were a psych nurse.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, and because what we're seeing right now in society now, there's become an epidemic in regards to mental health.
Oh yes, oh yes. My mother was very sick. She was a cripple in a wheelchair with rheumatoid arthritis, and I nursed her a little, and at the same time I did a psychology course in uni at night. And when I saw psych nursing, I thought, yes, because I'm very interested in the brain and the reasons why people get sick, and I really had a want to help people. Now, when I became a psych nurse, there was a bit of a crowd in the psych nurses that partied a lot, and I got into that a bit. But the matron, I heard her say one day to a lady, one of the nurses, she's a very good nurse, because deep down I had this want to help people. But you know, I saw the same people keep coming back. I saw them heavily medicated, and that was necessary sometimes because they were out of control.
Wow.
So they had to be medicated. I think in the old days they put them in straitjackets. You know, I wonder whether the straitjackets are better because of the side effect of the medications. So I had that experience, and then I really didn't come across or even think about the role of mental illness. You know, I was young and life was good. And when I started health retreats, I did notice that quite a few people did have mental problems, and I started to read the books by Dr. Neil Nedley, and I was very excited about what he was showing, how lifestyle has an incredible effect on mental illness. And I attended a seminar by him, this is 12 years ago, where he said he noticed a lot of his patients were on antidepressants, and he thought if he could even equal what lifestyle did to help them compared to medication, he'd be happy. And he said something that I will never forget. He said the lifestyle changes far exceeded the effect of medication.
Wow.
You know, sometimes you'll go to a seminar, you'll hear things, and it's like a lightning bolt hits you. That was my lightning bolt.
Wow. Wow.
So I went home excited, and I started to look at this a little bit more seriously. And we see people come off their antidepressants, not in the week, not in the week. We introduce the lifestyle changes, and I show them how little by little, as they're feeling better, as the lifestyle changes kick in, and to work with their doctor as much as possible, they can often start easing off the antidepressants. That, you know, now that's exciting. I see people get better now. I didn't see people get better then. I just saw them managed. Not healed. And I see people heal now. And I have met 5 people in my travels who were diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. They are now medication-free and managing well. I wish I had a box of medals to give them a medal.
Wow.
You know, that to me that's exciting, and I never heard of such a thing when I was a psych nurse.
So, you know, to hear that the studies of Neil Nedley and hear your experience, people say it can't be that simple. So how can, if you can like surmise it in a few minutes, how does lifestyle changes affect the mind so profoundly like that?
I'll try and make it a few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, our brain is 85% water, and our brain is a hydroelectric system. Not enough hydro, no electricity. In fact, if a brain is dehydrated, it can develop negative thought patterns. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, and when blood flow to the brain is increased, the oxygen content of the 1 trillion brain cells increases, and when a cell has oxygen, it can produce 18 times more energy compared to a cell that doesn't have enough oxygen.
Wow.
So pure air. That's why this mask wearing, people aren't getting their pure air. I don't know about in the US, but in Australia, our suicide rate has skyrocketed since this pandemic. People aren't getting outside, they're not getting the oxygen they need, the exercise. So what I'm referring to now is the 8 laws of health. So there's your pure air. Sunlight. Did you know that the ultraviolet rays from the sun go through neurochemical pathways and hit the pineal gland and cause a release of serotonin? There's your mood hormone.
Wow.
Now the next law is temperance, not taking anything into the body that will harm it and taking in moderation the good things. Did you know that refined sugar and the hybridized wheat of today, they disrupt the fuel supplies to the brain? And did you know that caffeine causes a chemical imbalance in the brain? So there's 3. There's sugar, hybridized wheat and caffeine are causing a chemical imbalance in the brain. And then we have the alcohol and the cigarettes, all causing imbalances in the brain. What cigarettes do, they inhibit oxygen to the brain. We've got 100 trillion cells and they all need that oxygen to give 18 times more energy. Chemicals eat away at brain cells. Mercury eats away at brain cells. So the next law is rest. Dr. Matthew Walker, in his book Why We Sleep, he says 10 nights of 6 hours sleep a night doubles your risk of developing mental illness.
Wow.
So sleep.
Wow.
Then the next law is proper diet. These brain cells need nutrition. So when you're eating a diet that is deficient in your basic vitamins and minerals and great fats, the fat-free diet causes mental illness.
Wow.
Because the fattiest organ in the body is the brain. And proteins. Your best proteins are your legumes, your nuts and your seeds. Just the diet God gave in the Garden of Eden. The next law is trust in divine power. When people have fear, in fact, in one little book called The Ministry of Healing by Ellen White, she says grief, anxiety, discontent, remorse, guilt, distrust all tend to break down the life forces and invite decay and death into the body. Wow. So there's your 8 laws of health.
Wow.
There's your basic. That's what I use as my guideline when presenting health principles. So when someone comes with, say, depression, the first thing we do is we get them to implement those 8 laws. We ease them off the caffeine. We get them to go to bed earlier. We get them to drink more water. And when their minds are a lot clearer, then we sit down and investigate. How did this all begin? Where did this all start? My mother, she sexually abused me. So then we look at what happened there. And I do not get them to go into detail because the Bible says, forgetting the things which are behind, I reach forth to the things which are before. What I look at is, right now, how can we deal with that now? And there's a beautiful way to deal with it. It's called forgiveness. It's full forgiveness. Actually, we find out that her mother was sexually abused. You know, and then you go back and you find out why this is so. So forgive. Forgive. Leave the results with God. And I have seen many people freed from mental illness through the beautiful act of forgiveness.
Wow.
And you just do it. And when you do it, you actually start to feel better about it. It's a law of the mind that your feelings respond to your decisions. So I teach all of that. So in a nutshell, there it is.
Wow, that is so powerful. And it's simple things, right? It's not things that are expensive. These are simple things that once learned can be implemented in one's life, and they can see the impact.
That's right. So it's like Rome wasn't built in a day. A mountain is climbed one step at a time. Let's just drink some more water. Let's just go to bed early. Let's get the technology out of your bedroom.
That's right. That's right.
Allow the mind and the body to revive and recover in those night hours.
That's right. And I mean, that's good. I kind of put a cap on that. I got a question about kind of our state of affairs now. We see that, you know, we have COVID-19. This is a virus that is going out, and there's a lot of fear behind it. And I'm curious to know your thoughts of this all too forgotten boosting your immunity concept. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to boost their immunity in light of some of the things that are going on? Sure,
and even most doctors will acknowledge that. We've got to boost the immune system. We've got fresh air. Sorry, the masks have to go. We've got to get out in that sunshine. You know, that sunshine will do it. We've got to drink more water. This sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's getting back to those 8 laws of health. And your immune system is built in your gut. So make sure your natural probiotics, these are your sauerkrauts, your sourdough breads, your miso, your coconut yogurts. Most people don't think of immune system beginning in the gut, and Dr. Kellogg said 3 intakes of food a day should equal 3 evacuations a day. So if the rubbish is building up in your gut, that's not going to work well. But once the 8 laws are implemented, once the exercise begins, people drinking more water, having a plant-based diet, then the colon usually responds to that. And that is the best way to build the immune system. Open the windows wide, let that sunshine in. empty the cupboard and the fridge of all the refined foods, because one immune system killer is refined sugar.
Really?
Yeah, Dr. Neil Ledley in his book Proof Positive, he shows how many white blood cells are killed with each teaspoon of sugar.
Wow. Wow. For those who don't know what white blood cells are, what are white blood cells?
Your white blood cells are your immune system. So our blood, the Bible says in Leviticus 17:11 that the life of the flesh is in the blood. So with the blood, you've got your red blood cells. They carry the oxygen, the nutrition, the water to your other cells. But there's also white blood cells. Now, white blood cells are like your internal army. And so if you get a cut, and maybe you don't clean it out, and there's a bit of dirt in there, it's not long before it's raised and red. You know, the body is sending lots of things there to heal it, and you'll find a yellow pus on top. They're your dead white blood cells. They came to that area to help and clean it. So we've got 5 different types of white blood cells, and they are our internal army. They are keeping the blood clean. There's one white blood cell called the lymphocytes, and they're the scouts, and they're zooming around your blood. Hey guys, take this guy down. And so the neutrophils, they're usually the ones that come and take it down. So God made an amazing body with an inbuilt ability to heal itself. It just needs the right conditions.
Awesome. So I want to ask a question. So I always ask, I like this question, what are some of your biggest challenges you have faced since doing this work that you've been doing for? How long have you been doing this work for?
Oh, probably 30 years now.
30 years.
But I've been married to my husband Michael for 23, and so we've been running the retreats for 22 years.
Wow.
So really, we've got tens of thousands of people who've come through our doors.
Wow.
And, you know, they testify. They're now sending their grandchildren. They're sending their neighbours. Unfortunately, recently I've been banned in Australia. And one would say, why? What have you done? I don't know what I've done. But my husband and I think it's because he has a political party. His political party is the Informed Medical Options Party. So his party is really about pro-choice, and we human beings, it's a God-given right that we choose what goes into our body. And in Australia, they are forcing parents to vaccinate their children. You don't get childcare rebates. You can't get all of your money from the government if you don't vaccinate. And this is very hard for people on the poverty line, and so people are vaccinating their children to get the money. See, that is wrong. That is totally wrong. And then one would say, well, shouldn't we vaccinate? Well, everyone has a right to choose, and these parents should have a right to choose. But I say, if the body's designed to heal itself, do we need to vaccinate? And you will find in the medical journals, they show that all the childhood diseases were sometimes 90 or 80% wiped out before the vaccines were introduced. Now that is often not known. And every parent vaccinates their child because they want the best for their child. So if someone asks me what they should do, I say, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You need to investigate.
Yes.
You need to investigate, and everyone who investigates discovers some of the things that I'm saying. So unfortunately, a ban has been put on me. The people that put in complaints I have never met. They've never been to our retreat. Apparently they're part of the Friends of Science who are pro-vaccination, and they made claims that I have suggested babies have goat's milk if they can't breastfeed, and now they're saying that could be lethal to the baby. Now, no baby has ever died from drinking goat's milk. So you see, they are all supposed claims. Yeah. And my husband has written a little book, it's up there, it's called The Assassination of Barbara O'Neill. He just wanted people to know what really happened.
Yeah, I think the truth on both sides, you know, you have one story, but you need to hear the other side as well.
Oh, you need to hear the whole side.
Yeah.
what I say is, how can there be a crime if there's no victim? And there are no complaints from anyone. The thousands, tens of thousands now, of people who've been to our retreat, there is not one complaint.
Wow. So what, and this is like the last question I have, so what drives you to keep going forward?
What drives me to keep going forward is the many emails I got that I still get that say, thank you for saving my life. And it was just a simple treatment. And an email I got recently, this man said, my wife and I had one child. We spent $10,000 trying to have another child. And then someone told us about this lady who has a lecture on YouTube on hormones. We bought the cream. We now have 5 more children. Thank you.
Wow.
That's what keeps me going, is helping people to see that the remedies are so simple, just so very simple. You would almost bypass them.
That's right.
That's actually what gives me the drive to see people helped. I'm in my late 60s now. I'm sure the day comes when I possibly won't be doing this anymore, but I'm far from giving up yet.
Yeah. Awesome. If there's anything you would like to leave with our listeners, kind of a final word.
So my final word is, have faith in this amazing body that God gave us with its inbuilt ability to heal itself. Trust it. Trust God and thank Him every day for this body. And remember that if it's not working well, please put on your detective hat to discover, why isn't it working? Am I drinking enough water? Is it because of the mold in my bathroom? Investigate. In fact, in case of sickness, the first thing is to investigate the cause. Why are these things so? It is not rocket science. It's a simple thing. And once you begin implementing these simple lifestyle changes, I think you'll be excited at the results.
Well, we want to thank Barbara for coming and spending time with us at the Fit Health segment here. And I want to say thank you for coming and seeing with us. She's actually doing some lectures for us in the area. And want to talk about a couple of her books she has, Self-Heal by Design. You can find this on Amazon. And then also book, The Assassination of Barbara O'Neill, that was written by her husband. It kind of goes into greater detail of some of the challenges that she's faced and that she shared in the interview, and how she's and her husband is persevering at their lifestyle center over there in Australia. So thank you guys for joining us, and hope to see you guys next time.